Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another Digimon Spoiler Sunday episode. This is the time of the week where I take a look at all of the new news and announcements that we got over in Japan and, well, talk about them. So we got a huge dump of BT12 spoilers to go over. I think we got around 33 new cards to talk about, but before we talk about those, let's just dive right into the news section, which is, well, Bandai is actually going through and giving us a reprint set. The reprint set for Japan is coming out on the 27th of January, 2023, and it's going to have a pretty interesting set breakdown with 25 commons, 25 uncommons, 33 rares, 21 super rares, 6 secret rares, and 17 promos, making for a total count of 122 cards in the set, all being reprinted. I think this is pretty decent of a product to include, just because, well, reprints just make cards more accessible, and more accessible game makes more people want to play it, and the product cheaper, making it easier for everyone. So I really like the fact that we are getting a reprint set. I have no idea when we're actually going to be getting this in the English language, just because, well, it seems kind of off considering we already have 6 sets that are releasing in a year, and I don't know exactly where this is going to fall in their release cycle, but you could just probably make a safe assertion and guess that this is going to be 6 months later, so maybe in the summertime, but that's just a lot of product to shove all at once, so they're definitely going to have to try to accommodate this into their release schedule, so maybe they'll have a slightly adjusted release schedule because of this new style of product. But either way, it'll be interesting to see what actually gets reprinted, how the packs are going to work, just because the rarity breakdown isn't exactly your normal one, and it's going to be very exciting to see if their release schedule is actually going to change and adjust accordingly. But while we're on the topic of reprints, the Survive promos are getting reprinted, and we're actually getting more Survive promos to go along with it in a new style. So I really dig the whole new style of look, and the Agumon, Labramon, and Falcomon, it's definitely nice to see them getting reprinted, so that way they're easier to have access to. Even though they're not like super meta competitive, it's still nice to have access to these types of cards, because right now, at least for the English language, there's very limited access to these types of cards if you weren't in Europe, utilizing their point system to be able to redeem points to be able to get these cards. For the US, you literally had to go to like 1 or 2 conventions, and that was it, making these cards very limited. So I'm excited to see when and how we are actually going to be getting these cards in English, because I really like these cards. But as far as what these cards are doing, they're going to be following in the same type of pattern that the other 3 laid out before it. So they're going to have the exact same stats, they're going to have an on-play ability that's requiring their specific color tamer in order to use their effect. So Kunamon suspends one of the opponent's Digimon down, Floramon basically stunlocks the opponent's Digimon by making it so that one of their Digimon doesn't unsuspend during the opponent's turn. Then Lotmon gives the opponent's Digimon security attack -1. Then we have a new version of Dracmon that allows this Digimon to digivolve into a purple Digimon from our trash with Dark Beast or Undead by paying its cost. So I think that all of these Survive rookies are looking to be pretty decent, and I'm excited to see where they're going to be and their influence on the game. But as far as the BT12 spoilers go, we're going to start off with Yakimon. So Yakimon is going to be a green level 4, hard plays for 3, evos for 2, has 3000 DP, and is a vegetation with the blocker ability. Means that he could easily fit inside of the Bloomlord deck. Next, we got a new version of Jagamon. So this new version of Jagamon has an on-delete ability where we get to play up to 2 Yakimons or Podamons from our hand without paying their cost. So it's just a good card to be able to replace himself when he gets deleted, which isn't something Green has done a whole lot of, but it's nice to see that we're able to have various different styles of play based on the different cards that are getting made. Next up, we have Metal Life Kawagamon. So Metal Life Kawagamon is, for the most part, your very stereotypical level 5 Digimon, between its stats being nothing special to write home about and its inheritable ability just doing your classic green thing of when your Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, you'll gain a memory, but the only unique thing about this versus a lot of the other green cards is the fact that he has the alternative Digivolution condition, where we could Digivolve him for 3 on top of a level 4 with save in its description, which basically means that save in its text, so it just allows us to be able to use this with a lot of the other save-based evolutions to be able to go into various different colors with ease. Next, we have a new version of Grand Kawagamon. So this new version of Grand Kawagamon is going to be a green level 6 Digimon that could Digivolve for 4 on top of a level 5 green or blue Digimon. So it kind of seems like it wants to fit more in line with how Imperial wants to play, and he has the alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve him for 3 on top of a Dino Beamon, which again kind of fits into what Imperial was already trying to do. But as far as what this card's trying to do, he has 2 abilities of his own. He has a nice when Digivolving ability where we get to suspend one of the opponent's Digimon, then this Digimon can attack into your opponent's Digimon, so it's just a decent card at trying to act as some solid green removal, while also having the secondary ability where during your turn, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon is suspended, then we get to gain 1 memory to be able to make more tempo-efficient plays because, well, his when Digivolving ability is already suspending a Digimon. Next up, we have Otamon. So Otamon is finally making it into the game. No surprise that he's going to be a blue level 3 Digimon, and he actually has a pretty decent inheritable ability for us to use, where during the opponent's turn, once per turn, when your opponent's Digimon attacks, we get to trash the bottom Digivolution source off of one of the opponent's Digimon. So it is another card that's trying to do some inter-turn interaction, punishing the opponent for doing something, and it's doing the blue punishment of just taking advantage of them having sources and trying to strip them so that we could gain benefits during our turn for the opponent's Digimon not having any sources. So it really is a decent card to think about utilizing in a new style of blue control deck. And continuing with that same style of theme, we have Geckomon. So Geckomon is going to be a blue level 4 with that same style of inheritable ability that we just saw to, again, try to have a little bit more inter-turn interaction. And I really like this tech style of control that they're trying to add into the game to try to get a little bit more interaction. And then it seems like one of the big payout cards for utilizing those cards is going to be Shogun Geckomon. So Shogun Geckomon is going to be a blue level 5 Digimon, and he has the nice when Digivolving ability where we get to place a level 5 or lower blue Digimon from our hands to the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution source. Then we get to trash 2 Digivolution sources from the bottom of 2 of the opponent's Digimon. So it's just, again, fitting on theme with how the other 2 want to play, where it's trying to be a new style of source stripping deck. And then he has the Alterns ability to benefit from doing this, where once per turn, when a Digivolution source of one of the opponent's Digimon is trashed, then we get to gain 1 memory. So ideally, with all of those inheritables, we're going to be trying to strip the opponent of not only just their Digimon's resources, but some of their resources in combination with this card as well for more taxing potential. Next up, we have All-Force Vidramon X Antibody. So All-Force Vidramon X Antibody is going to be one of the set's SRs, and he's fitting on theme with how All-Force Vidramon wanted to play from the last set. So he is a level 6 blue Digimon, evos for 4 on top of a level 5 Digimon, or we could evo him for 1 on top of an All-Force Vidramon. Then when we Digivolve into this Digimon, we get to unsuspend this Digimon and one of your blue Tamers, which obviously wants to be Arena, so that way we could reuse Arena over and over again, which is kind of why a lot of people were leaning towards All-Force Zero when Rena came out, just because All-Force Zero could unsuspend that Rena. And then, on top of that, he has a pretty decent All-Turns ability, where once per turn, when this Digimon is unsuspended, if we have a blue Tamer in play, or this Digimon has All-Force Vidramon in its Digivolution source, we get to return one of the opponent's Digimon with the lowest level back to their hand for some decent control. Next up, we have Sephirothmon. So Sephirothmon is going to be a new style of hybrid, and Black is actually getting another hybrid, which is pretty decent just because Black didn't really have a whole lot of hybrids before, and their hybrids kind of sucked. So what this card is doing is he is a little bit expensive of a level 4 to generically use, so he obviously wants to be digivolved on top of a Mercurymon for 1 versus his level 3 for 3. Or we could digivolve him on top of one of our Black Tamers as if a Black Tamer was a level 3. So he's still going to be 3 to digivolve into on top of a Black Tamer, which is, well, pretty expensive for a lot of other hybrids. But he has the nice when digivolving ability where one of your opponent's Digimon gains the start of the main phase. This Digimon must attack until the end of the opponent's turn, forcing the opponents to do specific actions that will lead to them hopefully being at a disadvantage because they wouldn't want to make that action normally. And next up, we have Mercurymon. So Mercurymon is going to be more of your classic style of hybrid, except he has the upside of being able to digivolve for 0 on top of a Sephirothmon. So this is kind of how they're doing their human to beast form changes, is being able to digivolve on top of each other, which is a pretty solid new dynamic for hybrids to want to try to think about playing along with. And then on top of that, he has the nice ability where you could digivolve him on top of a Black Tamer as if it was a level 3 Digimon, so that way we could use him with our Tamers, because obviously he's a hybrid, and he has the on-play / when digivolving ability, so more ways to be able to utilize the card is always nice, considering we know that the Ancients generally like to play the level 4s, so that's kind of where the on-play portion of this takes into effect, where one of your Digimon gains blocker until the end of the turn. So it seems like you're going to want to try to digivolve up into him, make himself a blocker, digivolve into Sephirothmon, make one of the opponent's Digimon attack, so that way you could easily clear it because, well, he's going to be a blocker to be able to block the attack. Next up, we have Wisemon. So Wisemon is going to be a purple and black Digimon, Evos for 4 on top of a level 4 purple or black Digimon, which is, well, pretty common for a 2-color Digimon at this point, having a slightly higher evolution cost. And then what this card is doing is he has an on-play and when digivolving ability, where we get to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, add a purple or a black Digimon from among them into our hand, and then the rest go to the bottom. So he's just a generic digger for being able to hard play him or digivolve up into him, which just, again, adds more usability to the card. Then on top of that, his inheritable ability is just blocker, which is just nice, so that way our higher level Digimon could be able to stop some of the opponent's aggression. Next up, we have Ancient Wisemon. So Ancient Wisemon is going to be another one of the 10 warriors. So he has the nice ability where during the opponent's turn, once per turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon attacks, we get to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, play one black Digimon with a play cost of 6 or less from among them, and then trash the rest. So just his first ability already wants us to be able to play our other Digimon, which we just saw with Mercurymon, Sephirothmon, and Wisemon. And then on top of that, he has the classic on delete ability, where we get to play a level 4 or lower black card with hybrid in its traits from our hand for free. And then we got a new option card that plays along with this whole style of gameplay in the form of Lapis's Demon. So it is a 1-cost black option card with the main ability of one of the opponent's Digimon gains the ability of, at the start of the main phase, attack with this Digimon until the end of the opponent's turn. So again, it's trying to force the opponent's Digimon into attacking, putting them at a big disadvantage because of, well, our big blockers and stuff that we're going to take advantage of when the opponent's Digimon is going to be attacking. Next up, we have a new version of Agumon. So this new version of Agumon is going to be a red and black level 3 Digimon with a hard play cost of 3 and Evos for 1 on top of a level 2 with 2000 DP. But you could also just digivolve him for 0 on top of a Koromon, which kind of feels like it just wants you to play with Koromon to make him as efficient as you possibly can. But speaking of efficiency, he's acting as another consistency tool for you to think about utilizing in a more Greymon style deck, because his on-play ability states that we get to reveal the top 4 cards of our deck, add 1 Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, and 1 Tamer card that contains Taikamiya in its name from among them into our hand, and then the rest go to the bottom in any order. And it has actually a pretty decent inheritable ability, where during all turns, if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, then it gains plus 1000 DP. Most of the time, red it gives a plus 2000 during your turn, so it's nice to see during an all turns it gets plus 1000 for a change. Next up, we have a new Greymon that's fitting on theme with this new evolution line. So he is going to be a level 4 black and red Digimon, evos for 3 on top of a black level 3, or we could digivolve him for 2 on top of a level 3 that contains Agumon in its name. And then it has a when digivolving ability, where if we don't have a tamer with Tai Kamiya in its name in play, then we could play a Tai Kamiya from our hand for free, which is pretty decent because we could also play the duo tamers off of this ability just because it's asking for Tai in its name. So that's already pretty good at just having easier access to be able to get our tamers out. And then on top of that, he has that same style of inheritable ability where it's just another all turns ability of a plus 1000 DP for the Digimon that's going to be on top of him, being a Greymon or Omnimon. Next up, we have a new Metal Greymon. So again, this Metal Greymon's fitting on theme with the other Digimon in its evolution line. So he is going to be another Black-Red Digimon, evos for 4 on top of a level 4 Black Digimon, or evos for 3 on top of a level 4 with Greymon in its name, with the Raid ability. So we can basically redirect his attack to the Digimon with the highest DP for some extra control, and he has the All Turns ability once per turn. When the attacking target is changed, so utilizing the Raid ability, then we get to play one black or red tamer card that has a play cost of 4 or less from our hand for free, which is pretty good just because we could use this to set up any of our tamers that we really want to use inside of this deck. And he has the inheritable ability where during your turn, while this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, then it gains the piercing ability, so that way a higher level Digimon can basically have easier access at control and being able to deal damage all in one card. And then the last Digimon in this evolution line is going to be War Greymon. It has the Raid ability, again allowing us to redirect his attack, a when digivolving ability where this Digimon gains 3000 DP and reboot, and an all turns ability where once per turn, if the attack of Digimon changed targets, then we get to unsuspend this Digimon for some good multi-attacking action. So this in combination with piercing means that we could attack into the opponent's strongest Digimon, delete it and deal damage, and unsuspend this Digimon to be able to attack again. And ideally, if this Digimon has blocker, which black has easy ways of giving it blocker, then it already has the reboot to make it harder for the opponents to respond with. So I think this is going to be a pretty decent SR to be playing around with. And then we even have a new Tai Kamiya that's trying to wrap up what this Greymon line is trying to do. So what this card is doing is it is a black tamer this time that costs 3, where he has the ability at the start of our main phase and an on-play ability. So when we play him, we still get this effect off, and every subsequent turn that this card is sticking around, we're also going to be getting this effect off. So that already makes this card insanely good, considering the effect is one of our Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name gains 1000 DP and blocker until the end of the turn, so we don't even have to have the inheritable of blocker to be able to apply this type of a buff for some solid aggro control style gameplay. And then on top of that, his secondary ability is kind of acting like Nokia, where during your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, then we get to suspend this tamer to gain a memory. So this is better than cost reduction, because cost reduction could be stopped and the memory gain off of tamers can't be. So I really like what this card is doing. And then as far as some of the other tamers, we already knew that the main characters from each of the subsequent seasons of the anime is going to be represented because, well, in the last season of Cross Wars, the Boy Who Leapt Through Time, they all made a cameo appearance at the end. So we got a new version of Davis, and this is a 3-costed Davis with the ability at the start of your main phase. If you have a Digimon with free in its traits or a tamer with Ken Ichichoji in its name, so this does work with Ken and Davis, then we get to gain 1 memory, so it's just a nice easy way at gaining some extra memory. And then he has a nice secondary ability that's supporting the Imperial Dramon DNA deck. So he has the ability where during your turn, when one of your 2-color Digimon with blue and green attacks, then we get to suspend this tamer, and that Digimon can digivolve into a Digimon with Imperial Dramon in its name from our hand by paying its memory cost. So it just allows us to easily go up into our higher stages when we're attacking, which is pretty decent because we have some decent combo plays that we could base off of that style of effect. And speaking of the other protagonists from the seasons before Cross Wars, we have a new version of Takuya. So this new version of Takuya is basically just going to be your stereotypical memory fixer, hard setting our memory to 3 if it's ever less than 3. And then his inheritable ability is okay. I'm not like super impressed with this card, but it's not a bad card to think about using for red hybrids. Just because his inheritable ability states that during your turn, this Digimon gains plus 2000 DP. If this Digimon has 10,000 or more DP, then it also gains the ability where during your turn once per turn, when this Digimon checks the opponent's security, then we get to gain 2 memory. So just attacking into the opponent's security, gaining 2 extra memory, just for our Digimon being large enough, is pretty decent while applying a buff himself. Next up, we have Tageru Akashi. So Tageru Akashi is going to be a purple 4-costed tamer that is going to be acting as a new memory fixing tamer. So he has the ability where during your turn, when one of your Digimon would digivolve into a Digimon with save in its text, then we get to suspend this tamer and place 1 Digimon card under our tamer under that Digimon to the bottom of its Digivolution source to reduce the cost of the Digivolution by 1. Next up, we have Gumdramon. So Gumdramon is finally making his appearance, and he's actually a pretty decent rookie to be playing around with. So for being a purple level 3, he could digivolve for 0 on top of a purple egg, or we could digivolve him for 0 on top of any level 2 with save in its description. So it just allows us to easily use him with all of our save-based cards, which is, well, what's a lot of in this set. And then on top of that, he has an on-play ability where we get to place a Digimon card with save in its description from our hand underneath one of our tamers, and we get to draw 1 card. So he's helping set up our tamer while we're cycling through our deck, which is pretty good. Then he himself has the on-delete ability of save, so when he gets deleted, then he gets to tuck himself underneath our tamer, which is, again, pretty decent and how a lot of these Cross Wars tamers want to play. And he even has a Digicross effect himself, where it's a Digicross of 2 by placing 1 Digimon with save in its description underneath him, so that makes him from a 4-play cost to a 2-play cost, which is pretty decent considering he's cycling through our deck, setting up our tamer, and has the save ability himself. And on top of that, he has an inheritable ability for when we're using him with various other Digimon, where it's a when attacking ability once per turn. If this Digimon has save in its description, then we get to draw 1 card, acting as a good consistency tool for our higher stage Digimon to use. Next up, we have Arresterdramon. So this is going to be the level 4 in the Gumdramon line, and he's, again, another pretty decent Digimon to think about playing inside of his own style of deck. So he could Digivolve for 2 on top of a purple level 3, or he could Digivolve for 2 on top of a level 3 with save in its description. Then he has a nice when Digivolving ability, where if this Digimon has 2 or more Digivolution sources in him, then he gains the Rush ability until the end of the turn, which is pretty good already. And on top of that, he has the nice on-delete ability of save, and we get to place 1 Digimon card from our trash with save in its description underneath one of our tamers, so it allows us to try to help save his inheritable sources as well. And he even has a nice inheritable source himself that, again, is similar to Gumdramon, where it's just adding extra draw for our Digimon that's above him, having it save in its description. Next up, we have a new option for that style of deck in the form of Overflowing Power. So this is a 0-costed purple option that has the alternate play condition, where if you have a tamer with Hunter in its traits in play, then we get to ignore its color requirements, so any other tamers that are Hunters also can utilize this card. Then its ability is actually pretty decent, allowing us to Digivolve one of our Digimon into a Digimon with save in its text from underneath our tamer by paying its memory cost. So it's, again, trying to utilize our tamer to be able to do various different things, and this time it's allowing us to Digivolve, which is something the previous cross decks weren't really doing, and the security ability to add this card into our hand, making it a very easy to use card. Next up, we have Arresterdramon Superior Mode. So this is going to be the deck's level 5, and this is a very powerful level 5 Digimon. So it is, again, a purple Digimon, has the Digivolution cost for 4 on top of a level 4 purple Digimon, and 10,000 DP. Then he has the alternative Digivolution condition, where we could Digivolve him for 4 on top of a red, black, or purple level 4 with save in its description. So it seems like those are the primary colors that want to be played with a Restridgermon and his style of deck. And then he has 2 very powerful abilities of his own with a nice inheritable ability. So his inheritable ability is, well, like all of the other cards in the Gumdramon line that we've seen, where it's just extra draw for the Digimon having save in its text. But his native abilities are what's really powerful about the card. So he has a nice when Digivolving ability that's kind of acting like this new form of removal, where we get to place one of the opponent's level 3 Digimon under one of the opponent's other Digimon at the bottom of its Digivolution source or underneath their tamer. So it's kind of doing something similar to what Bagra Army was trying to do in BT11, just shove them underneath the other Digimon, but a Restridgermon Superior Mode can put it underneath their tamers if they really wanted to. And then on top of that, for each tamer that we have in play that's a different color, then we get to increase the maximum level of the cards that we're choosing by 1. So the more different tamers that we have in play, the more powerful this removal type of ability gets. Then he has an end of turn ability where once per turn, if this Digimon has 4 or more Digivolution cards in him, then this Digimon can attack it even without suspending, allowing us to be extra aggressive with this style of card. Next up, we have Ranamon. So Ranamon is going to be one of the hybrids that we're missing in this new hybrid style, where it could Digivolve normally like a lot of the other hybrids, or we could Digivolve it for 0 on top of its beast form. And then on top of that, it has a nice when Digivolving ability, where we get to place a blue level 3 or lower Digimon from our hand to the bottom of one of our blue Digimon's sources, to be able to have that Digimon gain jamming for the turn, to be able to make some more aggressive lines of play, just because we know that when we're attacking, our attacks are going to be safe. And then we do have her beast form in the form of Kalmaramon. So she, like Sephirothmon, can Digivolve for 1 on top of the human form, and she also could Digivolve on top of the tamer, which is stereotypical to a lot of hybrids, and she even has a nice when attacking ability, where we get to play a blue level 3 Digimon from our Digimon's Digivolution source for free. So the idea is that we're going to use Ranamon to be able to put underneath a level 3 for our Camillamon to be able to attack with jamming and split apart that level 3, which I think is a pretty decent little loop for the Aegis-Dramon style of deck to want to adopt. Next, we have the green level 2 for the set, which isn't really anything exciting. So it just has the simple inheritable ability where during your turn, once per turn, when your green Digimon is played, then this Digimon gains plus 2000 DP for the turn, rewarding us for basically having the ability to want to play our Digimon, and any deck that could free play our Digimon can really take advantage of this card. Next up, we have Burgermon, and Burgermon is just a blah vanilla green level 3. Next up, we have Ebby Burgermon. So Ebby Burgermon is a little bit more interesting with the on-play ability where we get to reveal the top card of our deck, add it to our hand if it's a green Digimon card, otherwise it goes to the bottom of the deck. So it's basically just a functional reprint of Tentomon from the starter deck, just as a food Digimon instead of an insect Digimon. Next, we have Potamon. So Potamon is going to be another blah vanilla card that really isn't doing anything too special. We saw it does have some synergy with the new Jagamon, but green has had more efficient cards than this before. And then the last new card that we got spoiled this week is going to be a brand new version of King Shoutmon. So this brand new version of King Shoutmon is a pretty decent card to think about using not only just with the old Cross Hearts deck, but with the new Hunter-based decks as well. So he has the alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve for 2 on top of any level 3 with save in its description. So it allows us to easily Digivolve utilizing any of our save-based cards, which is, well, what a lot of these Hunters and Cross Wars decks want to do. Then he has the on-play/when Digivolving ability where we get to play one Taiki, Yu, or Tagiru from our hand for free, so having easy ways to be able to set up our tamers is always nice in, well, a tamer-based deck. Then on top of that, he has the on-delete ability of save himself, and then we get to place one Digimon card with save in its description from our trash to the bottom of one of our tamers. So not only is he saving himself, he's saving ideally something from our trash as well to be able to line up our power plays with our tamers and Digicrossing. Then he has the Digicross ability of 2 himself to make him a easier card to want to hard play, where his Digicross allows us to use one Digimon with save in its description, which is, again, easy way at us being able to set up this card to set up our tamer. And then on top of all of that, he has a nice inheritable ability for our Digimon to take advantage of, where it's a when attacking ability once per turn. If this Digimon has save in its description, then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less, acting as some solid low-level control. So yeah, that's all of the new cards that we got spoiled this week. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting set. I'm not super thrilled with its overall direction so far, but there's still a lot of cards left to see in the set to see how things are actually going to be playing out. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.